Hey everyone, today we're going to build some rear door cards. So these are the speakers I'll be running. So these are Alpine R-Type, well actually R series, should I say, or R, because they dropped the type now. These are the new ones, which are identical to the old ones. They just changed the grille. These are 100 RMS, handle good power, they sound alright, but they last forever. Now the reason I'm doing these in the back doors is I've currently got Pioneers in the front and rear, I'll show you in a second, that have been in this car about 7 years. And technically, I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, they all work still, but I will be doing the front soon, and I'm just going to shift the Pioneer out of the car. Alright, now there's what we're working with currently. So it's a Pioneer, these are like the TS series, which were, I don't know, 220 bucks, 250 bucks when I bought them, you know, a few years, 6-7 years ago. Here's the two speakers side by side. This is the old Pioneers that were in there. This is the new R-Type. Obviously the grille on the R-Type's pretty plain, which I might be trimming. We're going to see what happens there. Besides that though, I think specs wise, I think these are 80 RMS, these are 100. These have an angle a little tweeter at least, you can move it a little. This is just fixed. Other than that, I mean, yeah, that tweeter's bigger. Whether or not it sounds better, they're very harsh, I've got to say. And these are just standard ferrite magnet, whereas these are Neo, so a lot smaller. Alright, so we got our door card off. What I'm doing is I'm making the rough template now. If I flip the door over, it actually has the shape that's pressed into it on the back. So what I'm doing is I'm just running the knife blade around this plastic edge as I cut the cardboard on the back side of the door. I'm almost finished. I just thought I'd show you before I finished it. And it's pretty simple just to run the knife along it, and we're going to get a pretty much perfect template to start with. So that turned out exactly how I wanted it to. So that's the door as she is. As you can see, that plastic edge that I was running the knife blade around, and the actual thickness of this cardboard is probably 4 or 5 millimeters. The wood I'm using is 6, and as you can see where it sits in the wood, sorry, in the door should I say, that's pretty much what I'm going to be building, and that's sitting flush in the door. The way I'm doing that is I've actually done, as you can see, a considerable 45 for the thickness of the wood. It's pretty much as much as I can physically do, and as you can see the way it sits in the door. So it's actually, because of the angle, it's sitting flush down, which is quite nice. So that is that, and now I'm going to do a smaller version of it that's going to be on the inside. That's actually going to house the speaker. Alright, so what I've cut there is a template. It's also out of 6mm. I actually just trimmed down one of these pieces, but that inner template, which as you can see is smaller, is what I'm going to be making 2 of, obviously for each one. At 12mm though, that's still 6, and that'll flush the actual grill on my speaker in, and we're using the 12mm. It'll sit pretty flush in there. And here we have our 2 doors now with this panel. Nothing's attached or anything yet, but there's the inside panel, which as you can see has been 45'd as well and sanded. Right, now for the center of our speaker, all I did is I've lined this piece up where I want it on the base, obviously located where I want the actual speaker to sit, and then I've just drilled straight through my center, through both panels at once. So now when I use my Jasper circle jig, I'm going to have a perfect circle on both. Alright, and there we have all 4 holes cut. Just got the grill sitting in there just to give you a rough idea. As you can see, I have moved the speaker over a little by the grey bit that is in there. Should be fine in the door though. I'm just going to give the glue, 20 minutes to kind of harden a bit, and then we're going to go ahead and body fill. Now we're not going to body fill much. Pretty much just the straight edge that is on this 12mm piece. I just want to eliminate that and just get it to a complete 45. So again, not much body fill at all, just a little bit around the edge. Quick and easy to sand. Alright, so I got the first one there, which is now sanded by hand. So pretty much I put that on by hand as well. So just running my finger around it nicely. And then I've sanded it in that green stage so that I've got it now pretty smooth. And so that just needs to be really lightly went over with the actual electric sander. And that pretty easy to get a pretty smooth line using your finger. Again, as I said, I'm really only filling the bottom 3mm. That's all that matters, is that I get a nice transition between the wood, between the 12 and the 6, should I say. get a bit thicker on that end corner. So it is the only one that's testing me as far as the spreading goes. So I have both panels now finished, body filled, sanded. Alright, so there's my door panel now. This is spray glued just out of a can glue onto the vinyl, the foam, just onto my grey vinyl. Now when I glue this to that, I'm going to use the proper strong red glue, but that to that I just used the spray glue so that it doesn't go through the foam and leave bumps. Alright, and there's the first one complete, trimmed, with the speaker in there. I haven't put a little logo on it yet. I think I will, but anyway, looks alright. Here's the door panel here. So the R-Type is in there, put a little badge on it, and this is ready to go. Now as you can see, the greys are different between my new panel and the original door. And I tried every single trimmer I could to get a matching grey, and no one does it. A lot of other cars I seem to be able to get trim for, but not for the Jackaroo. The grey I've got pretty much has no blue in it. As you can see, that has a tinge of blue to it. Right, now, just when we thought the video was just about done, and I was happy with these, I actually mounted them to the doors, fitted them to the car and everything. And then I started to hate them. I like the panels, I like the shape of the panels. I hate the foam. Now, as you can see, this door here is full of dents. That was me testing it because I was already having second guesses about the foam, and I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'll really bang into it with my thumb. And that's been like 3 days now and they have not come out at all. Just on that alone, I don't want the foam anymore. Bad idea. I have trimmed things with foam before and they've come out pretty good. It's early Saturday morning, but we're going to get ahead and re-vinyl these. It took me about an hour to get the glue off, and even the rag I was using, actually the dye was coming out of it, so hence why it kind of looks black now. So I got the door cards re-trimmed now, as you see, this time without the foam, and I'm much happier with the way they look. You can actually see the curve on them a lot more. It didn't just flatten out with the foam, and obviously it doesn't leave marks in it if I touch it. So what I'm going to be doing now though is painting it. I actually had a can of paint made up, bloody $40 for a can of paint. But I got a can of paint made up to match the grey that is on my door. And apparently with vinyl, the paint I got, all I do is clean these up with wax and grease and make sure they're nice and clean, and the paint should stick to it just fine. So obviously I trim it first so I don't have to stretch it with the paint on it. But now that that's ready to go, I'm just going to paint over these. So that's the left one painted with one light coat, and the right one I haven't painted. As you can see, the blue versus the brown and the greys. And obviously the doors are that brown, so it's actually looking pretty good. So I did 3 coats of the grey on the grey, and then I did 3 coats of a satin clear, and I just finished the 3rd coat of that clear, so it still looks kind of wet and glossy, but it does dry satin, which is how the doors are themselves. So hopefully the brown's not going to match up too bad. It's looking pretty good. Looks a tad darker, but it's kind of in the shadows over here. That's kind of under the fluorescent light. So yeah, anyway, we're just going to let this set, and that's final coat done. Alright, and there's the new panel on the door, and as you can see how much closer that grey is. Yeah, it's almost spot on. If anything, it's just that it doesn't look as dirty, but again, being that this is like nearly a 20-year-old car, I'm sure the vinyl on the actual door is a tad dirty. So, I mean, yeah, if I give it all a clean, it might even end up almost like bang on identical, but that grey is pretty much spot on, and I'm pretty happy with that. So, well, that looks good. In the door, sits in there really well. I can show you as the join, looks spot on. So, actually looks like a factory part that just kind of sat in there, factory insert. I'll just grab, this is the other vinyl that I had. Well, this is the vinyl that I originally trimmed it in, which as you can see is pretty much blue in comparison to that vinyl. So, alright guys, so end of the video, and we have a finished door, as you can see, woofer in, and yeah, well, that's about it. As you see, they don't stick out too far off the door, and the colour match is actually pretty damn good, depending on the light you see. It's not too bad at all. A lot better than it was, that's for sure. This part of the door is a little bit darker brown. I think it's just dirty because of, you know, getting used. But if you look at it next to that plastic trim, which is all the same colour in the car, you can see it's pretty damn spot on. So anyway, that is that for now, guys. Stay tuned for more.